In this podcast episode, Jordan Peterson engages in a discussion with Winston Marshall, a prominent figure in the alternative media landscape in the UK. Their conversation delves into the current state of the UK, the implications of historical events, and the challenges facing Western societies today. The discussion begins with a reflection on the aftermath of World War II, where a global consensus emerged to never forget the horrors of the Holocaust. However, Peterson points out that the phrase "never forget" is problematic because it implies that understanding the causes of such atrocities is essential to prevent their recurrence. He argues that the post-war response reflexively identified nationalism as a core problem, leading to the promotion of an open society ideology that often dismisses national identity as inherently oppressive. This ideological shift has resulted in a fragmented understanding of what it means to belong to a nation, particularly in the UK. Marshall adds that the consequences of this ideological stance are evident in contemporary society, where discussions about national identity are fraught with confusion and division. He cites a recent experience at Oxford University, where students struggled to define what it means to be British, highlighting the lack of a cohesive narrative that unites people under a shared identity. As the conversation progresses, Peterson and Marshall explore the essence of civilization and the importance of shared stories in forming national identity. Peterson posits that national identity is rooted in collective participation in a common narrative, which provides psychological integrity and social unity. He argues that the Enlightenment's emphasis on facts alone is insufficient. Instead, societies need a value system that prioritizes certain truths over others to create a coherent story. Marshall emphasizes that the current cultural climate in the UK is characterized by a rejection of traditional narratives, leading to a sense of chaos and disunity. He expresses concern that the open society ideology has led to an attack on British national identity, resulting in a loss of pride and a failure to recognize the positive aspects of the nation's history. The discussion shifts to the recent Alliance for Responsible Citizenship ARC conference, which Marshall attended. He describes the event as a significant gathering of individuals from diverse backgrounds who share a common concern about the direction of society. The conference aimed to offer a positive vision for the future, countering the prevailing negativity in political discourse. Marshall notes that the success of the conference lies in its ability to foster constructive dialogue rather than mere criticism of opposing viewpoints. Peterson highlights the importance of presenting a unifying narrative that transcends partisan divides. He observes that politicians who focus solely on problems without offering solutions tend to disappoint audiences, while those who articulate a positive vision resonate more effectively. This observation underscores the need for a cultural shift that prioritizes constructive engagement over divisive rhetoric. As the conversation unfolds, the topic of populism arises. Peterson and Marshall discuss the complexities of populist movements, noting that while they can serve as a response to the failures of the political elite, they also risk oversimplifying complex issues. Marshall argues that populism can be a double-edged sword, as it may attract individuals who are disillusioned with traditional politics, but can also lead to the rise of extremist views. Peterson emphasizes the importance of distinguishing between healthy populism, which seeks to address the concerns of ordinary people, and unhealthy forms that may devolve into authoritarianism. He suggests that the challenge lies in finding a balance between addressing legitimate grievances and avoiding the pitfalls of radicalism. The discussion also touches on the entertainment industry, where both Peterson and Marshall observe a growing discontent with the prevailing narratives. They note that the industry has become increasingly risk-averse, often prioritizing ideological conformity over creativity. Marshall points out that successful figures like Oliver Anthony, who gained fame for his song "Rich Men North of Richmond," represent a backlash against the mainstream's failure to connect with the working class. Peterson adds that the cultural landscape is shifting, with audiences increasingly drawn to content that challenges the status quo. He argues that the rise of alternative media and independent creators reflects a desire for authenticity and genuine engagement, contrasting sharply with the sanitized narratives often presented by mainstream outlets. As the conversation draws to a close, Peterson and Marshall reflect on the future of the UK and the broader Western world. They express concern about the potential for fragmentation and chaos if a unifying narrative is not established. Marshall emphasizes the need for a renewed sense of national identity that acknowledges the complexities of modern society while fostering a sense of belonging. Peterson concludes by reiterating the importance of engaging in constructive dialogue and seeking common ground. He suggests that the path forward requires a commitment to understanding the underlying values that bind societies together, rather than succumbing to divisive ideologies that threaten to tear them apart.